or make use of the unit that we've just written. So the first button required us to instantiate and display. The user must enter the name of the restaurant, the year the restaurant opened, and the number of employees. So that's quite straightforward. These are obtained from edit boxes to get the name, to get the year opened, and to get the number of employees. That's obtained from a spin using the property .value. And also just to keep in mind that this particular variable here is a global variable, which is going to be required a bit later. So to instantiate the object, you will remember from a previous video, we call the constructor. So this is our constructor create. We send in the 3 values that we just obtained in the lines above, and the object will be instantiated. And the question also wants us to call the toString method. And through the object, we call the toString method. And because this is a function, it's returning a value, I can call the function inside of a rich edit, in which case it'll just display whatever value is being returned. 3.2.2, this is the identification code. The user must enter the full name of the owner in an edit box, call the compile code, and display the compile code in this edit box. So we need to input the, not input, but capture the name that was input in this edit box. So the edit box EDT owner name gets the value for the owner. This is being stored in a variable called name. And then the compile code through your object, through the object, compile code is being called, and it wants the name. So the name is sent into the function compile code. The function returns a value, and the value returned is being set into the text property of the edit box. The next question, add employees. Here, the user must enter the number of employees. Code has been provided to declare a constant variable. So you've got I max employees. You've got a constant variable that stores the maximum number of employees, which is 40 in this case. We need to extract the number of employees from the edit box. So the number of employees, we get that from the edit box. A conversion is made since this is an integer value, and we need to perform a calculation on it. So it's converted from a string into an int. And we need to ensure that the total number of employees do not exceed the maximum, which is 40. Determine if the extracted number of employees can be added without exceeding the maximum. So you then take the number of employees that we've just entered, you add it to, you'll recall I said this was a global variable. This value was input when we initialized the constructor. So that is the total number of employees that was input earlier on. If that total is less than or equal to the constant maximum number of employees, then we can call this function. Actually, it's not a function. If I just look at the way it is being called, I can see it's a procedure. So I can call the procedure increase number of employees, and I can give it the value that it wants. When this increased number of employees was created in the unit, it required a parameter. So we are sending a value into that procedure, and the value we're sending in is the number of employees that we want to add. How can I tell that this is a procedure and not a function? You must take note that functions return a value. And because they return a value, you can either display the value, like we did previously in a rich edit, or you can assign it to a variable. Since it's giving you a value, you can take that value and assign it to a variable. A third way with a function is you can use it in a condition. Because a function returns a value, you can take the value and compare it in a condition, such as an if statement. And procedures, on the other hand, they don't return a value, they just perform a task. And here, a procedure to perform the task is called by its name. And because this is in a different unit, we're calling it through our object, obj restaurant, that is linked to that particular unit. And thereafter, the value that was added is also displayed in this edit box. And if the number of employees is less than the total, if it's greater than the total, the else statement comes in and a message is displayed to say number of employees is exceeded. This ends the solution for question 3 in the 2018 paper.